Hey folks, Mark Levin here. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to talk about my go-to gold and silver company. Monetary Gold has over 25 years helping Americans understand physical gold and silver with an education-first, no-pressure approach and support for IRA-eligible options. Monetary Gold has a complimentary guide. It's free to help you understand precious metals. Call them right now, 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com and request the free guide. Make sure to ask for details. That's 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax consultant. Now let's get to the show.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. I love these poll questions, Mr. Producer. I have a poll question that no media outlet's going to ask. None. Would you prefer that the Iranian regime launches nuclear missiles at our country? Or paying, what, 50 cents more a gallon for gasoline? Do you like that question, Mr. Producer? I wonder what the answer would be. I'm going to write that. A gallon for gasoline. Because that's kind of the choice that we have, America. Unless we want to wait around and give the benefit of the doubt to the enemy. Does it sound like the enemy deserves a benefit of the doubt after 47 years? Does it after today? After the hell's been pounded out of them, their top echelon's been wiped out, their second top echelon's been wiped out, but their entrails of this regime says rather than no mas, they say no deal. There's a difference, I would argue, between defeating a regime's military and defeating the regime. And in this case, that regime in Iran, it's like an alien. It's like an alien. You can take parts of it out, but they keep growing back. So the whole regime has to be destroyed. I understand we're trying to negotiate with them, but there's negotiating and there's negotiating. The 15 points, as I read them in the press, as best as I can figure them out, that were laid down for this Iranian Nazi regime would basically be unconditional surrender. Surrender of everything. Their economy, their weapons, their government, unconditional surrender. And, as I read in the paper, the deal was that we would stop bombing the hell out of you for a month while we negotiate this. Well, they rejected it, and then they put out their conditions. And I'll get into more of this a little later. But just to show you what scumballs the Democrats are, even when it comes to matters of life and death, war and peace, what complete, power-hungry scumballs the Democrat Party is led by. I want you to listen to this. Through the years, the Democrats saying Iran will get nukes. You're going to hear Tony Blinken, remember that jackass, in 2021, the Secretary of State. You're going to hear Jen Psaki, remember that one, 2022. You're going to hear FBI Director Christopher Wray, 2023. You're going to hear the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, 2024. You're going to hear this pig, Chris Murphy, 2025. Listen to this montage. Hat tip Mays. More on X. Whoever it is does a hell of a job. Cut 5, go.
Iran's nuclear program is galloping forward. It is enriching at higher levels, 20%, even 60%. In small cases, it's using more advanced centrifuges. We're now down, based on published reports, to a few months. If this continues, if they continue to enrich at the levels and in the ways they're doing, it will get down eventually to a few weeks. So that is a concrete problem. We have an interest in putting that nuclear problem back in the box, because an Iran with a nuclear weapon or with the ability to produce fissile material on very short notice to get one is an Iran that's going to be an even worse actor.
Iran has rapidly accelerated its nuclear program and reduced cooperation with international inspectors. Their breakout period is down from about a year, which is what we knew it was during the deal, to just a few weeks or less.
Iran, the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, has directly or by hiring criminals mounted assassination attempts against dissidents and high-ranking current and former U.S. officials, including right here on American soil.
The president will not tolerate attacks on American troops, and neither will I. Our teammates were killed by radical militias backed by Iran and operating inside Syria and Iraq.
Yes, it is true. Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon than ever before. If they chose to get a nuclear weapon, could probably get one within weeks.
Wow. So what changed? The president. A different president who's actually doing something about it. I find these people so shameless, so disgusting. Running around, it's not imminent, undermining the commander-in-chief, undermining our armed forces. But you know what I find more disgusting than them? Joe Kent. Joe Kent. You know what I find more disgusting than them? Tucker Carlson. You know what I find more disgusting than them? Megyn Kelly. Steve Bannon. That fat slob Alex Jones. By the way, has he paid off the families in Connecticut yet, Mr. Producer? Do we know that? No. You mean he doesn't have billions of dollars to pay them off? What a fat slob. What a moron. Complete joke. That guy hasn't missed too many meals either. Yeah. Now, here are the Democrats and the media. Don't believe Trump. Believe the Iranians. Say what? Don't believe Trump, says Ashley Allison of CNN, John Brennan. Chris Van Hollen, that guy, is why you have to scrape off the bottom of your sneakers and then throw it in the washing machine. Sarah Haynes of The View. Who's that? Who the hell knows? All left-wing kooks. Cut 6, go.
The leaders of the Iranian regime, they lie. I think the problem is we don't know if our president is also telling the truth.
I tend to believe Iran more than I do Donald Trump, because he could not acknowledge the truth even when it is, he's slapped in the face with it repeatedly.
We've learned that Donald Trump has been lying to the American people from the start, and he keeps lying to them.
This is this guy, Chris Van Hollen. This is this guy. People don't focus on this guy enough. What an absolute agitprop this guy is. From a one-party state, Maryland. He is poison. Absolute poison. Go ahead.
So you believe the Iranian officials over the President of the United States?
I believe that based on all the information that's
So here
available.
we have a regime that has slaughtered tens of thousands of its own people. Here we have a regime that has violated every aspect of the Obama deal. Here we have a regime that can never tell the truth, that lies like a rug. that funds terrorists, that is a terror regime that has killed over 1,000 Americans, civilians and soldiers, maimed thousands and thousands more. And this guy just blissfully says, yes, I believe the regime over President Trump. Chris Van Hollen. Go ahead.
Donald Trump's track record of lying.
I don't trust the feedback of President Trump. I really don't trust Iran either.
Oh, wow. Aren't you something? Aren't you something? If these people win the House of Representatives and or the Senate, we are in deep trouble. And I want you to listen very carefully to me. We have traitors among us. Again, we have traitors among us. I've been calling these people traitors for months. Now other people are as well, and they should and they must. Traitor Tucker, he's a traitor. Traitor Kelly, she's a traitor. Traitor Bannon, he is a traitor. And there's many, many more. And yes, they're giving aid and comfort to the enemy. It's nothing to do with Israel. It has to do with the United States. What's going to happen to this country politically? We have the woke Reich, R-E-I-C-H, these neo-fascist isolationists. They're more comfortable talking to the enemy, filled with conspiracy theories, filled with American hatred, Jew hatred. They're consumed by it. Consumed by it. Alex Jones, he's another one. And yes, General Mike Flynn, a man I defended for years, a man I met once or twice. I don't know what happened to him, but I don't care. I don't care. They are what they are, and they're no damn good. That's what they are. 58% of the American people, this Fox poll, or 56% don't support the war. And I'm thinking to myself, here we have this regime that has slaughtered Americans, funded terrorism, tried to assassinate our president, that the Democrats used to say are going to have a breakout in 2 weeks of a nuclear weapon. And 58% of the people say this, they don't support the war because maybe they're paying a few more shekels for a gallon of gasoline. I'm telling you, folks, we have a significant percent of the population that doesn't know history, that doesn't remember 9/11, because many of them weren't even born, let alone Pearl Harbor, let alone the Holocaust. And they get their news from these brain-dead, mentally deranged frauds. That's all they know. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, many central banks around the world, the same institutions that print all that money, they're buying gold at record levels, and they're not speculating. It seems like they're diversifying away from the U.S. dollar. Many global central bank gold holdings have now surpassed the holdings of U.S. Treasuries. The problem is the endless spending, the endless borrowing, driving up interest rates and driving down the value of the dollar. This is where my trusted friends at Monetary Gold come in. With over 100 years of combined trading floor experience, these are people who have lived through every market cycle. And right now, for qualifying accounts, Monetary Gold may cover your IRA fees for the life of your account. So call Monetary Gold today, 877-NOW-GOLD. That's 877-NOW-GOLD. Or visit marklovesgold.com, marklovesgold.com. It's a company built on trust and built to last. Call 877-NOW-GOLD or go to marklovesgold.com. Results can vary. Always consult your financial and tax advisors before investing. W. Honig's a great guy. He is the founder, the CEO of the Orthodox Jewish Chamber of Commerce. He wrote a great piece in the Jerusalem Post. I have linked to it. I encourage you to read it. And if we have some time this evening, I'll read part of it. Caroline Levitt at the White House briefing today. This guy, Joe Kent, is a fraud. And I'm going to tell you something. Those of you who've stuck with me, you understand how I work. Nobody wanted to talk about Tucker Carlson 10, 11, 12 months ago. People would whisper to me. They were upset about him. They didn't know what to do about him. What do we do? What do we do? I said, why are you worried? Why can't people talk about him? And so I not only talked about him, I exposed him. And then others joined in, and that was a good thing. And look what we have left, ladies and gentlemen, a guy that trashes American law and the Constitution and embraces Sharia law. Look what we have here. A guy that says communist China is on the ascendancy. We are not. We need to share power with them. So in other words, we should surrender our superpower status to our number one enemy. He's a guy that interviews an individual with ties to the Communist Party in China. He's a guy that interviews Islamists who hate our culture and hate you and me, Mr. and Mrs. America. He cozies up to Putin, where Putin's even embarrassed, and Putin says, well, that was a pretty easy interview. Putin has missiles aimed at us. There's no question that they have nuclear weapons. Every horrendous regime in the Middle East, this guy has defended and embraced, including Iran. He lobbies the president on behalf of the Iranian regime. That's what he did. He defends Qatar spending tens of billions of dollars in our country for the Muslim Brotherhood, for Hamas, to destroy our colleges and universities from the best on down. He embraces Saudi Arabia. That was behind 9/11. When's the last time he actually embraced America? When's the last time he talked about the Save America Act? When's the last time he talked about the TSA and the Democrats? Exactly. He's a grifter of the worst kind. This entire industry is being destroyed. That is the podcast industry. It's being destroyed. Good people are trying to save it. You've got good people coming in. You've got Bongino. You've got Shapiro. You've got Hammer. You've got Ferguson. You got a whole bunch of them. You got me trying to deal with this now. Trying to save this platform. So the poison, so the cancer doesn't keep metastasizing. These are very evil people. They are saboteurs. They will say anything. They want the biggest audience possible. Not in the United States, overseas. Why do you think you cozy up to the communist Chinese, Mr. Producer? A lot of people there, aren't there? Why do you cozy up to the Islamist regimes in the Middle East? A lot of money there, isn't there, folks? Why do you throw Christians over the roof? Why do you throw Jews over the roof? Why do you throw our founding over the roof and embrace Sharia law? There's a lot of Muslims overseas, especially Islamists, who love to watch these guys, Americans, smear, libel their own country, smear, libel their own president, undermine our armed forces in the middle of a war. On top of that, we have a Democrat Party that will do anything for power. They'll say one thing 2 weeks ago, another thing today. That is what we are facing. And then we have a guy like Joe Kent, the worst of the worst, who uses his position. He says he doesn't leak, but he uses his position the way he did in hopes of truly undermining the commander-in-chief. Folks, many central banks around the world, the same institutions that print all that money, they're buying gold at record levels, and they're not speculating. It seems like they're diversifying away from the U.S. dollar. Many global central bank gold holdings have now surpassed the holdings of U.S. treasuries. The problem is the endless spending, the endless borrowing, driving up interest rates and driving down the value of the dollar. This is where my trusted friends at Monetary Gold come in. With over 100 years of combined trading floor experience, these are people who have lived through every market cycle. And right now, for qualifying accounts, Monetary Gold may cover your IRA fees for the life of your account. So call Monetary Gold today, 877-NOW-GOLD. That's 877-NOW-GOLD. Or visit marklovesgold.com, marklovesgold.com. It's a company built on trust and built to last. Call 877-NOW-GOLD or go to marklovesgold.com. Results can vary. Always consult your financial and tax advisors before investing.
This is the nation's town hall meeting, and you can join in at 877-381-3811.
Then you got these talk show hosts and podcasters who aren't outwardly saboteurs, of course, but they're chameleons. They're chameleons. They want to see which way conservatives are kind of moving, or MAG is kind of moving. How long was it, ladies and gentlemen? We were calling in the loudest way possible, whether on Fox, on my radio program, that we needed to come to the aid of the Persian people. And I still strongly believe this. There can be no deal that doesn't include protecting and liberating these people, in my humble opinion. Again, there was silence for the most part, other than a handful of patriots, but silence. Now I see one in particular who's particularly annoying to me, but I won't mention him for a number of reasons. It's not that he has an impure heart, or that he's a grifter, or that he is in bed with the enemy, like Trader Tucker. I can't even call him Qatarson anymore. Qatar can't stand the guy. He's such a jackass. So I have to call him Trader Tucker, which is what I've been calling him now. But one of them in particular, such a milquetoast vanilla. But then when he thinks he sees where you're going, he tries to jump in the front of the parade. That's useless. It's you. What are you, weasel? It's just crazy. Now he's out there praising the Persian people. Yeah, okay. But the more the merrier. That would be good. That would be good because they're getting lost in all this, shockingly. Now, as for this guy, Joe Kent, the latest in a long line of betrayers. That's right, I said it. He's betrayed his country. He's betrayed the president. He's betrayed the military. He's betrayed the truth. He betrayed his colleagues. You want to resign? Resign. But don't be a drama queen about it and go on some of the worst media platforms imaginable. And not just with the woke Reich, neo-fascist isolationists, but with this guy Senk, whatever the hell his name is. If he's naturalized, they should denaturalize and kick his double fat ass out of the country. But here's Caroline Levitt asked about Joe Kent today at a press conference. Cut 7, go.
I was wondering if you would respond to some of this criticism of the administration from past allies like Joe Kent, who have said that the president's red line shifted from Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon to
Now, he
Iran.
said this on my show, so of course the reporter can't possibly say that the red line shifted. The red line never shifted. Joe Kent shifted. Go ahead.
Pursue nuclear enrichment. What is the administration's response to that criticism?
I think the president and I have both strongly responded to the criticism by Mr. Kent, who unfortunately resigned in disgrace and accused the president of basically being controlled by foreign countries and foreign manipulation, which is a ridiculous and laughable assertion. So his accusations have zero credibility as far as this White House is concerned.
The question of the red line shifting from no nuclear weapon to no nuclear enrichment, is there any substance to that argument?
I think the president has been quite clear in what he wants to see from the Iranian regime, which is why he chose to launch Operation Epic Fury in the first place.
No nuclear weapon versus no nuclear enrichment. Now, first of all, how stupid is that? It's the same red line. Folks, let me ask you a question. Whatever your walk of life, doesn't matter. If a terrorist regime that wants to build a nuclear weapon is enriching fissile material to use in a nuclear weapon, is there really a difference, Mr. Producer? What are we supposed to do? Wait around and all of a sudden there's a breakout? It's impossible to know exactly when they're going to have a nuclear weapon. And yet these Democrats, over the years, who said that it's weeks, now all of a sudden, it's not imminent, it's not a problem. What's the problem? Now, as we bomb the hell out of these places, we're finding that they have all kinds of enrichment, all kinds of nuclear sites. It's all going on. It's a rather vibrant operation, and they still pretend that they don't understand why we're doing what we're doing. They still pretend they don't understand why. I want to make another point. You see how it says these polls, I think the Fox poll, 56, 58% of the American people oppose this military operation because of the propaganda that's poured into this country from the enemy through these podcasters and others, because of the drumbeat of the press distorting what we're doing. They've almost turned Iran into the victim the way they did Hamas. Well, now you know what the Israelis were up against when they were fighting Hamas. The same echo chamber. The same propaganda funded by the enemy. The same media. The same podcasters. The same Democrats. It's not an accident. It's intentional. The goal is to dispirit we the people, to disunite we the people in the middle of what is a spectacular military operation. More people were murdered last weekend in our country than have died, mostly accidentally, some of them, in this war. Obviously, one's too many. But I'm giving it some context. These same people aren't talking about how awful it is that people died in our country, almost all in Democrat cities, like in Chicago. That horrible murder of a citizen from Mr. Producer's community. Horrible. Here's Caroline Levitt at that press conference again. Cut 9, go.
The president yesterday said that he had achieved regime change in Iran because the regime has changed in terms of...
You know, ladies and gentlemen, I don't even want to play this anymore. The press is so maniacal. Why do we need a press if they're going to be the Democrats? Why do we need the Democrats if they're going to be the press? They ought to have to wear sandwich boards to say, we're the Democrat press, we're the fake media, or at least the Democrats should wear sandwich boards saying, we control the media. They speak for us. It's the same damn thing, day in and day out. Nothing about America, nothing about how fantastic our troops are doing, nothing about anything like that, no questions along those lines. And, of course, they quote Joe Kent. Why? He's an outlier. With emphasis on the word liar. But he's out. He's an outlier. At least that's my opinion based on what I can cobble together. You know, it's one thing when you have a growing anti-war movement because the troops are getting ground up. Even if you're winning, the casualties are horrendous. There's an extended period of time. I wonder what we've become as a nation in some respects. Beyond MAGA, of course, because 92% of MAGA supports what the president is doing and this war. That just shows me how smart you are. So much smarter than the average individual. But I have to ask you, America, and I've asked you this before, but let's do it. We don't have a draft. We have had drafts in the past. Major drafts. And there were some people who ran to Canada, but the vast majority of people who were drafted, even if they didn't want to go, I mean, who wants to go? They went to war in Vietnam. They went to war in Korea. Far away. Vietnam didn't have nuclear missiles aimed at us, or the threat of nuclear missiles of any kind, to put it more accurately. Neither did Korea, North Korea. But we were fighting this expansion of communism. The American people understood it. The Vietnam War was about 10 years long. Korea about 4. I think we're moving into week 4, are we not, Mr. Producer, here? Something like that? Where the Iranian regime's military infrastructure has been all but eliminated. Obviously, there's some mopping up, but all but eliminated. The Strait of Hormuz will be cleared out. It'll be cleared out in a period of weeks. Our casualties in context are much less than some expected. To stress again, any casualty is horrendous, except apparently when the Iranians unleash their IEDs on our soldiers and we have mass casualties, apparently that's supposed to be ignored. As they're trying to wipe out the regime, or at least the military part of the regime that's responsible for it. The incoherence of these people is unbelievable. But let's say, ladies and gentlemen, China attacks Taiwan. What do you think these woke, Reich, neo-fascist isolationists are going to say? What do you think the Democrat Party officialdom is going to say? What do you think the Marxists and the Islamists are going to say? It's none of our business. There's nothing we can do about it. The communist Chinese are watching the massive might of the American military. But they're also watching the success that they and their Islamist comrades have had in weakening the psyche of the American people. Not you, but the psyche generally of the American people. They're witnessing that too. Which is why they're involved and they spend so much money, and our enemies spend so much money influencing us through the podcasters, through the faculties, other media that go and visit China, the Bloomberg folks, as an example. Politico, that was on the government payroll for a period of time. Axios, that hires one of the most radical reprobates in the so-called media who used to work for Haaretz, now works for them. This has an impact. Do you think, other than the incredible heroes in the current young generation that have volunteered to fight, do you think if we had a draft today that most would agree and embrace the fact that their number came up? I'm not sure. In fact, I have my doubts. Again, I'm distinguishing that from the brave men and women who've already stepped up and would step up. But I'm talking about a whole nother sort of grouping of this generation. I seriously have my doubts. And the Democrat Party can't even unite during a time of war, a righteous war, a noble war, with spectacular battlefield results. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
A meaningful season is approaching for millions of families, a time to reflect on resilience, renewal, and the journey from hardship to hope. For those observing Passover or Easter, it's a moment to gather, to remember where we come from, and to look forward to brighter days. But this year, many in Israel will mark the season under the strain of conflict, air raid sirens, families racing for shelter, elderly men and women unsure where to turn. Daily life has become tense and unpredictable, and parents do their best to comfort their children through nights filled with uncertainty. That's why the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground right now, delivering food, emergency aid, supporting bomb shelter readiness, and caring for vulnerable seniors, including Holocaust survivors, in a season centered on hope and renewal. Your support of the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews can make a real difference for those facing fear and instability. To lend a hand, please call 888-585-IFCJ. That's 888-585-IFCJ, or visit Levin for thefellowship.org. That's Levin for thefellowship.org, folks. This is absolutely crucial, and your gift is tax deductible. Do you know much about Benedict Arnold, America? He was a traitor, we know that. But what do you know about Benedict Arnold? It's the 250th anniversary. He was crucial in the Revolutionary War, first on the good side, then on the bad side. What do you know about Benedict Arnold? I discuss it at length on today's Liberty's Voice video podcast on Rumble and YouTube. I hope you'll check it out. A lot of people are enjoying it. I also link it to modern-day Benedict Arnolds. But first, I wanted to lay out the history of this man because I believe it's important that we know history. One of my guys said to me today, this has to be the smartest podcast. People don't know these things, and you're out there because this is what I do, America. And Benedict Arnold is somebody you really should know about. Very, very important. History is everything. It provides context. It provides experience. It enables you to make prudential, knowledgeable decisions. That's why Marxists don't believe in history. That's why neo-fascists twist history. That's why Islamists believe only their history matters. But our history matters a lot more. So check us out at Liberty's Voice. It's the last podcast of the week for me. I only do 3, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But they're 3 very important programs, I believe. Rumble, it's free. YouTube, it's free. Enjoy. Enjoy it. It's not work. Enjoy it. Maybe you're eating dinner. Maybe you're washing the dishes. Maybe you're taking a drive. Maybe whatever. If you're taking a run tomorrow, check it out. There's nothing like it. That's what I'm told. There's nothing like it. And that's the goal, right? That's the goal. We've got some real breaking stuff that I think are going to cause your jaws to hit the floor next hour, and I want to get into that as well. So we'll take a short break. Maybe get a drink of water, do a few push-ups. Yeah, right. Have a piece of cake. Now, that's a good idea. But we'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. By the way, the whole newspaper used to be pretty decent. What a crap paper. I wouldn't even use that to line a birdcage, quite frankly. The Hill. More like the pill. They're on something. What a joke. Fox News. Iran-linked influence campaign pushes anti-Israel messaging disguised as U.S. voices. By the way, there's some reports out there that Turkey has been involved in a psyop in our country, because remember who runs Turkey. an Islamo-Nazi by the name of Erdogan. But let's stick with one Islamist Nazi regime before we get to another. A new analysis of social media actively during the opening days of Operation Epic Fury suggests that much of the online backlash and anti-Israel content may not have been driven by Americans at all. How many times have I said this? Because it's a matter of instinct and reasoning. That is logic. 92% of MAGA supports the war effort and the president. So where are all these voices coming from? Either the Democrats, the Islamists, the Marxists in our country, but the bulk of it is overseas. Because a lot of these platforms are running ads overseas. You don't see them. You don't see them. And then when they run these ads overseas, as the people are on their iPhones or the equivalent, or their laptops or the equivalent, or their iPads or the equivalent, or their old computers, whatever they are, you have algorithms that go through them, and that on that person's device shows up a link to a podcast. So a link to Tucker Carlson, a link to Megyn Kelly, a link to Nick Fuentes, and so forth and so on. This is why the Jew-hating, the Israel-hating, the Netanyahu-hating, all that stuff is repeated over and over and over again. Not only because these people are bigots, not only because they're bleeding hemorrhoids in the body politic, but because they're getting rich off of it. The way the podcast world works, as I now know, you get paid two ways. Through ads, but most of your money comes through platforms based on how much activity is on the platform through your podcast. So they don't care if it's Islamists in Afghanistan or Islamists in Iran. They don't care if it's communist Chinese, which is now Trader Tucker's new gig. He sees a massive market there. And then you have the hangers-on, the others who see this. The Candace Owens types, the Megyn Kelly types, and more and more and more. That's why they don't criticize each other. That's why they don't attack each other. That's why, in many cases, they interview each other. They embrace each other. They cross-pollinate their audiences. Is this clear, Mr. Producer, what I'm explaining? Crystal clear. That's what we've created, a monster. And here we have Iran on its back, pushing hard on its propaganda operation within the United States. And then these idiots take polls. Where do they stand on this, the American people? All right. A new analysis of social media activity during the opening days of Operation Epic Fury suggests that much of the online backlash and anti-Israel content may not have been driven by Americans at all. The report identified recurring narratives pushed by foreign-based accounts. You go on, for example, X, Twitter. You look at everything I post. All of a sudden, it comes out. Probably 70%, 80% of the most vile words, photographs, and they're repetitious. Because it's built into their computer systems. It's built into their algorithms. It's built into the data. So Mark's online, I could say the sky is blue. Yeah, you would, you Jew. I mean, that's what happens. That's why you can't read and spend a lot of time on the comments. Oh, you're ratioed. It's another nudnik phrase from the Nimrods out there who live and die on the internet. You're ratioed. Yeah, because I'm not trying to appeal to foreigners. The report identified recurring narratives pushed by foreign-based accounts, including claims that the operation was a betrayal of MAGA, highly unpopular with the American people, carried out on behalf of Israel. And, of course, Joe Kent has swallowed and regurgitated all of it, as has Trader Tucker and the other morons and nimrods. 60% of the most viral posts on X mentioning Iran during the first week of the operation originated from accounts based outside the United States. Despite often presenting themselves as American voices, according to research conducted by Argyle Consulting Group, a private intelligence and data analysis firm. These aren't just random opinions. Iran Vosker, CEO and co-founder of Argyle, told Fox News Digital. By the way, Fox News Digital is great. They're doing a great job under my buddy Tommy. Just a fantastic job. What we're seeing is discourse that looks American, written in English, using U.S. political language, and I might ask, graphics as well, but is actually coming from outside the country. Almost impossible for a regular user to detect, they said, explaining the accounts look very American and mirror domestic political language and debates. And my sites are loaded with this on all of our social sites. Are they not, Mr. Producer? They're just loaded with this stuff. Because these foreign countries hate my guts. Because you and I are patriots. J.P. Castellanos, Binary Defense Director of Threat Intelligence and a former member of U.S. Central Command's active cyber defense team, said much of the activity is focused on Israel and combines disruption with messaging. About 42% of the attacks that we're seeing, or the claims that we're seeing online, are directed toward Israel, he said. He also pointed to doxing campaigns and AI-generated videos trying to basically shape the information space, quote unquote. Much of the challenge, he said, is distinguishing real cyber incidents from inflated online claims by hacktivists groups seeking attention. And I'm telling you, again, this is also how some of the biggest so-called podcasters are some of the most corrupt. They may not be bought off directly by a government. Maybe they are. I have no way of knowing. But they don't have to be, because these governments unleash these AI-generated videos. They unleash hackers. They unleash populations. These guys and gals appeal to these populations. And so, whether directly or indirectly, they're making a whole ton of money. Ton of money, not from Americans, but overseas. A lot of times, these are just claims they put online. Researchers said the scale, consistency, and geographic spread of the messaging point to a coordinated effort rather than organic global debate. It's coordinated, all right. And this is why I think the president stepped in a week or so ago and admonished traitor, admonished Megyn Kelly, admonished Marjorie Trader Gangrene, and a whole bunch of them. Cyber threat analysts say that an online narrative campaign is unfolding alongside broader activity by pro-Iranian and aligned groups across the digital space, just as they did, ladies and gentlemen, against Israel with Hamas. Now, one of the most prominent groups to emerge in the current conflict, Castellano said, is Handala, an Iran-linked hacking operation that has claimed responsibility for attacks on both U.S. and Israeli targets. And among most the influential voices driving engagement, 7 of the top 10 accounts were based outside the United States, including accounts like linked to Russia, the UAE, the United Kingdom, where, of course, there's a ton of Islamists, and South Asia. U.S. authorities and cybersecurity firms have linked Handala to Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security, describing it as part of a broader effort combining cyber attacks with psychological and information operations. Wasn't Trader Tucker running over to the White House trying to convince the president to leave Iran alone, Mr. Producer? He had texts with that regime, which he has not revealed. It's like Bannon, who has videos with his boy buddy Epstein, which he hasn't released. U.S. authorities and cybersecurity firms have linked this Handala to Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security. Now, the cybersecurity researchers told Fox News Digital Handala is part of a wider network of Iran-aligned and pro-Russia hacktivist groups. Remember, Trader Tucker is tight in supporting the Russian government, tight in supporting the Iranian regime against us, attacking it. He's out there talking up Sharia law, talking down his own country. I mean, it seems pretty obvious something's wrong here, doesn't it? Now, this Iran-aligned and pro-Russia hacktivist group, these groups have mobilized since the start of the war, blending disruptive cyber activity with narrative-shaping campaigns online. By the way, I didn't take any calls last night, and I can't take any calls today because our call system is down. Our call system's down. What, do we have North Korean equipment, Mr. Producer? It's been down now for 36 hours. So I can't take your calls. Fox News Digital reached out to multiple times, providing a list of the accounts in question per the request of these groups, but has yet to receive a response. Yeah, good luck, because you just outed them. So when you see comments online, you need to realize that it could be 70, 80% of them are either foreign individuals who hate our country or foreign governments using AI. That's what you see. And then you have morons. Look how he's being ratioed. That's also foreign governments and so forth. And I believe this whole milieu, this whole industry is filled with individuals who claim to be America First and MAGA, who benefit from this, and they know damn well they benefit from it, which is why they say the things they say, which is why they platform the people they platform, which is why they are a handful of people. It's incestuous, which is why they interview each other and repeat each other's junk. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know, folks, I've been working with Pure Talk for 6 years now. Boy, time flies. I wanted to work with a wireless company that shares my values. Pure Talk is a veteran-led company, so helping veterans is their North Star. Now, they've donated over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization that is on the front lines of helping to prevent veteran suicide. And Pure Talk's creating American jobs with a U.S.-only workforce. Sure, to be a lot cheaper to send jobs overseas like other companies do, but they're committed to delivering the best experience possible for their customers here in the United States. And yes, I love Pure Talk's service. They give you the same towers, same network, same 5G coverage as one of the big guys, but for a fraction of the price. And I choose to do business with a company that shares my values, your value, helping support veterans every single day and creating American jobs. How about you? Go to puretalk.com/Levin to switch to Pure Talk. That's puretalk.com/LEVIN to switch to my wireless company, America's wireless company, Pure Talk. We've got more. Lots more. That's the Iran-linked influence campaign, right? Mm-hmm. The Iran-linked influence campaign. Now we have this from David Marcus, also at Fox. Why are we letting foreign foes use X payouts to wage war against us? I'm telling you, not just because I have a TV show on Fox. Fox is doing a hell of a job digging out this stuff. Can you name any other cable or network news that is? No. Imagine if during World War II, the Germans had been able to pay millions of dollars to minor American celebrities to run pro-Nazi short films in U.S. movie theaters. It sounds absurd, but it's actually minuscule compared to what our enemies can achieve today through social media. On Tuesday night, Alex Wenkus, the girlfriend of FBI Director Kash Patel, dropped a stunning thread on X, alleging that several high-ranking figures in the conservative political orbit were engaged in a 22-month, quote, foreign-linked influence network, unquote, attacking her and the Trump administration. Listen to this, folks. Wilkins convincingly purports to show that online campaigns in 2024, painting her as an Israeli spy, were coordinated through foreign online accounts such as Russia Today. The detailed evidence she provides is confusing to laymen, but what it clearly shows is inorganic growth for the conspiracy. The same network, she alleges, is operating to undermine the Trump administration's military efforts in Iran. The commercials. By applying this inorganic pressure to America's social media. The FBI declined to comment on Wilkins' post, but just 2 hours after it went up, ex-head of product Nikita Bayer took to the platform to announce that starting Thursday, the company would update monetization, the payments users receive, to give more weight to impressions from your home region. In this key section of the statement, Bayer admitted the reason for this change is to thwart foreign interference in our elections, writing, "While we appreciate everyone's opinion on American politics, we hope this will disincentivize gaming the attention of U.S. accounts." And boy, has there been a lot of frozen gaming of late, which no doubt helped to spur the announcement. But at 2:30 a.m. Wednesday, ex-owner Elon Musk posted a message saying basically not so fast. His message was in response to an account claiming to be an American living in France who could see their income stream decline by the move. Musk said the change would be delayed and reviewed. Wherever the policy finally lands, it is very welcome news. Indeed, that the platform is taking the threat of foreign information operations on American social media seriously. So now we have two levels of operation. One is the enemy working over some of these neo-fascist, woke rights, isolationist leftists. We know who all of them are. Helping to enrich them, helping to drive up their numbers. And now we also have this that's been exposed by the friend of the FBI director. I guess that's his lady friend. Thus far, the focus of the reaction to this proposed change by X has gotten the priority exactly backwards, celebrating that foreign accounts would be barred from making money by obsessing on U.S. politics. That is a benefit, but it pales in comparison to the other consequence of the proposal, which is that foreign foes will no longer be able to use bot farms to funnel millions of dollars to divisive American content creators. We're under attack. With the propaganda, we're under attack. Now, when a Russian bot farm floods in an anti-American post with 20,000 impressions and shares, it boosts the income of the account it's juicing, even if the creators themselves have no idea and think the growth is totally organic. I want to get back to this because most of us don't live on the internet, but a lot of people do. And the media look at the internet, and they live on the internet. I'll be right back. You know, folks, I've been working with Pure Talk for 6 years now. Boy, time flies. I wanted to work with a wireless company that shares my values. Pure Talk is a veteran-led company, so helping veterans is their North Star. Now, they've donated over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization that is on the front lines of helping to prevent veteran suicide. And Pure Talk's creating American jobs with a U.S.-only workforce. Sure to be a lot cheaper to send jobs overseas like other companies do, but they're committed to delivering the best experience possible for their customers here in the United States. And yes, I love Pure Talk's service. They give you the same towers, same network, same 5G coverage as one of the big guys, but for a fraction of the price. And I choose to do business with a company that shares my values, your value, helping support veterans every single day and creating American jobs. How about you? Go to puretalk.com/Levin to switch to Pure Talk. That's puretalk.com/LEVIN to switch to my wireless company, America's wireless company, Pure Talk.
Mark doesn't suffer fools well. So, if you're a fool, don't call 877-381-3811.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget Liberty's Voice today. It's a great show. You're going to enjoy our video podcast. You go to Rumble or YouTube. It's absolutely free. We got great shows this weekend that we're working on right now on Fox. And depending on what the Senate does, we will have, for the first time on my program, John Fetterman. I spoke to him earlier today. He is a really nice guy. A really nice guy, and he's a fellow Pennsylvanian, obviously. And we chatted for 15, 20 minutes. I really enjoyed it. And can I tell you something? Very sharp. Very, very sharp. His thinking is very solid, too. And he was very articulate. I just want you to know these things about him. And he is a very important voice. Very important voice. And I happen to think it's good he's in the Democrat Party to be a voice there. It's 1 against, 50. So the guy has a lot of courage. He really does. And we need to have more voices like that in the Democrat Party. I fear that's not going to happen. But he'll be on if, in fact, the schedule in the Senate permits on Sunday. On Sunday. We have a lot of good programming this week, and I'll tell you more about it tomorrow. Because we're doing our good program right here. Our great program, thanks to you, although you can't call in because the phones are down. I think we have an Iranian phone system, Mr. Producer. You're right. Theirs is probably better. We have a remarkable president. Historic, iconic, courageous, smart as hell, funny as hell. He's just a great guy. He really is. And people try to take advantage of him. He puts them in important positions. They present themselves as one thing. They turn out to be another, and then they stab him in the back like Joe Kent. You've got Trader Tucker, who hung on to him through the elections. He wanted to be seen at the UFC. He wanted to be seen at Mar-a-Lago. He wanted to be seen at the RNC convention. And then he claims he helped get Trump elected. No, he had nothing to do with it. Zero. Then you have Megyn Kelly, who, of course, tried to sabotage his first run for the presidency. She pops up out of nowhere, giving a speech for him, all excited, bouncing around here and there. And look what she's become. And then we have these other people. We don't even know where they come from. Like this Carrie Nutjob. Every time you challenge her, because you hate Catholics. That's why you hate Catholics. I didn't say a thing about Catholics. Yeah, but you Jews hate Catholics. It's just unbelievable. Even one of the, I think, bishops put out a video basically blasting her and saying she doesn't represent the church. No, she certainly doesn't. For one thing, she doesn't like to wear her clothes in public. Did you notice that, Mr. Producer? Yes. All these people, they got this freak Bannon. He calls it the war room. I was calling it the fraud room. I think I'll call it the whore room, don't you think? Hanging out with Epstein, trying to collect money. Pled guilty to ripping off little old ladies. Hey, we're going to raise some money for a wall. We're going to build it. In fact, bloated Bannon, I'm going to lay the bricks, so to speak. But he didn't. He pled guilty. He got a pardon from the president on all that stuff, like on the last day. And look how grateful he is, stabbing the president in the back, stabbing our troops in the back. You got Joe Kent, who deserves all the praise in the world for his military career. Now he's stabbing the troops in the back and stabbing the president in the back. The president made all these people. They didn't make him. Trader Tucker? Boy, he likes the text, and the things that are said in his text reveal a lot. Like that litigation that revealed all that crap he was saying. Then he puts out that weird video. Look, I've been told. I didn't get around to asking Joe Kent about that because we ran out of time, but I was wondering if he was... But Kent would have said, no, I never did anything. I never touched anything. I never saw anything. And it's classified anyway. Oh, okay, got it. No, I never gave the texts. I never did. That Colvin gave me the texts of the group chat about Israel, the Jews, the donors. I never gave that to Candace Owens. She just came upon it. Oh, okay. Got it. I never leaked, not once in my life, not once. Never, never, ever. Mm-hmm. Everyone says you did. Well, they're leaking leaks, aren't they? Yeah. Yep, that's what they're doing. Surrounded by this, the president has been, and we the people. If you're, just use your discernment, use your own noggin. If somebody's pushing Sharia law over the Constitution and is interviewing the lowest of the lowlives, or they're saying the most horrible things that your mother and father told you never to say, then understand what they are. Just understand what they are. They're not you. They're frauds, phonies, and freaks. That's it. Let me go on with this article here about these Russian bot farms, and you get 20,000 impressions, and then some jerk comes in. Look at this. You were ratioed. You were ratioed. Oh, okay. At the time, there were barriers and gatekeepers, beforehand, to protect Americans from foreign information operations. Today, there are virtually none. It's an asymmetric information war. Hopefully, Elon Musk can find a way to implement this localization and monetization to crack down on enemy propaganda, because it's all over X, it's all over the internet. But if he and the industry can't close this open informational wound, then the government might have to do it. It's not about free speech, America. That's not free speech. That's a propaganda war by foreign governments. Recently, for example, X changed its platform to show the country of origin of its accounts, but this is easily overcome by foreign bots and VPNs. I didn't know that it was easily overcome, that is. Again, a good instinct, but no ability to truly police the platform. Musk is in a tough spot here. He doesn't want to censor anyone. That's true. He doesn't want to censor anyone, but he also doesn't want X to be a bustling marketplace of foreign-funded anti-U.S. propaganda. And these proposed changes to localize the profits seem like a very good idea. I suspect Trader Tucker and their ilk will oppose it, but who cares what they oppose? Meanwhile, whether the industry can fix this problem itself or if more regulation is needed, the government must investigate just what percentage of our political social media is pushed by foreign bots. I would like to know that, wouldn't you, America? This must be done. Not to punish the social media companies, but to punish the foreign foes who are engaging quite literally in a form of cyber warfare against our nation. And we have a right to know which podcasters are involved in this, whether they know it or not. President Trump ran on strong borders to keep out migrants, tariffs to keep out products that make us less competitive, and voter ID to protect elections. Now we must focus on a strong wall to protect American social media from our enemies and adversaries. Put simply, if we can't protect our information ecosystem, then we can't protect anything. I think that's a very important piece there. Again, Fox. Why are we letting foreign foes use X payouts to wage war against us? I think that's very important. And I don't want people to keep throwing First Amendment. No, this isn't about the First Amendment. Foreign governments don't have a First Amendment right. Foreign bots, that is fakes, they don't have a First Amendment right. But we, the American people, we have a right to information about who's putting what where. We have a right to information about how Tucker, Kelly, Bannon, Owens, we have a right to know the source of money. Oh, I don't mean YouTube. I mean the original source of the money. We have a right to know this. If they're going to be screaming and dropping F-bombs all over the place, promoting Sharia law, promoting conspiracy theories about how the Jews killed Charlie Kirk, he would be disgusted with these people. I'm telling you. We have a right to know who's pushing this crap. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know, folks, I've been working with Pure Talk for 6 years now. Boy, time flies. I wanted to work with a wireless company that shares my values. Pure Talk is a veteran-led company, so helping veterans is their North Star. Now, they've donated over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization that is on the front lines of helping to prevent veteran suicide. And Pure Talk's creating American jobs with a U.S.-only workforce. Sure, it'd be a lot cheaper to send jobs overseas like other companies do, but they're committed to delivering the best experience possible for their customers here in the United States. And yes, I love Pure Talk's service. They give you the same towers, same network, same 5G coverage as one of the big guys, but for a fraction of the price. And I choose to do business with a company that shares my values, your value, helping support veterans every single day and creating American jobs. How about you? Go to puretalk.com/Levin to switch to Pure Talk. That's puretalk.com/LEVIN to switch to my wireless company, America's wireless company, Pure Talk. Eyal Jacoby, this kid was at the the University of Pennsylvania, I believe. He does research. Unbelievable. Like our friend Laura Loomer and a few others. This is breaking news. I want you to listen carefully. The Iranian regime has deployed military trucks mounted with machine guns within feet of uprisings. In what world is a regime allowed to do this to its citizens and the international community is silent? The Democrat Party opposes our involvement. These filthy rich podcasters oppose our involvement. And they're showing the trucks with these machine gun turrets on the top to slaughter their own people. There can be no peace with this regime if all the requirements we've put forward aren't met and the people aren't liberated. I'm reading reports now, well, the United States has decided that can't be accomplished. The Israelis have decided it can't be accomplished. I don't believe it. Well, there will always be one voice here for the people in Iran, and that's me, and some others, I hope. But I know enough about history and the silence of people who have voices, or worse, and I can't live with myself if I don't speak out. I'm repulsed by these Democrats. I'm repulsed by the media. I'm repulsed by these fake MAGA, isolationist, woke right, neo-fascist podcasters. I'm repulsed by them. I'm repulsed by what Joe Kent did to our president and our military. And now he's a big propaganda tool for those who are undermining us. I'm repulsed by all of them. As long as I have a microphone and as long as I have a television camera, as long as I have a voice, as long as I'm on this earth, I will speak out for these people. Because I was raised to know good from evil and right from wrong. And I don't believe in any holocausts. That is, that any holocaust should be taking place without resistance, particularly from those of us who are outside the realm of the Holocaust and can speak out as loudly as possible. No Holocaust, is what I'm trying to say, should take place without resistance from those of us who can speak out. I believe the Iranian people should be armed to the teeth. I believe we should be doing that now. That was the Reagan doctrine in Afghanistan, and it worked. It was the Reagan doctrine in Angola, and it worked. It was the Reagan doctrine in Nicaragua, and it worked. There are freedom fighters in these countries. But they can't fight with their bare knuckles when they're being mowed down with machine guns and their children are being raped and hanged. Arm the Persian people. Arm them. Give them the weapons with which to defend themselves. If we're not sure how this is going to end, if we know that the Democrats will continue to obstruct us, arm the men and women in Iran. Arm them. We did it in Afghanistan. It was successful. I'm not talking about the later screw-ups. We did it in Angola, in Africa. It was successful. We did it in Nicaragua. It was successful. Arm them. Arm them. Give them a fighting chance. Give them a fighting chance. Don't forget, those of you who don't get the third hour, if we're preempted or something else is going on, you can tune into our podcast, our radio podcast, and hear the program live. Right, Mr. Producer? Just go wherever you have a podcast platform, wherever you would normally go, and type in Mark Levin Show. That pretty much does it, doesn't it, Rich? Mark Levin Show. Go to your favorite podcast platform. It's easy to find. Or go to marklevinshow.com, the mothership website. We have the links right there. Let's say you're in the car, you have an iPhone or whatever. You can get us directly. I'll be right back. Hour 3.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, I can't give you the number. The phone's not working. It's embarrassing. But what can I tell you? You want to hear somebody who's really stupid? I know, there's so many, but really, really stupid. She's from Westchester, New York. She used to go by the name of Sandy. Now she's just 3 letters. AOC. That's right. That's right. She was a bartender. There's nothing wrong with a bartender. There's something wrong with this bartender. Oh, yes. Now, Sandy went to the same high school as the beautiful young woman who was murdered in Chicago. Mr. Producer lives in that neighborhood. Mr. Producer, has she said anything yet? No. Not that you know of, right? And the community there is very upset, right? And, you know, you don't really know what to do about something like this. You have a mayor there and a governor there who have no intention of changing, no matter how many wonderful, beautiful young people are murdered. They just don't care. And because they're Democrats, they keep getting voted into office. It's almost a psychological perversion or illness or something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. The days of Richard Daley are gone, and that's too bad, because Richard Daley was an old-time Democrat. I don't care if he was a machine boss. He knew what to do. Richard Daley knew what to do in a situation like this. He wouldn't have put up with it for 2 seconds. Not for 2 seconds. We talk about Minnesota. Walter Mondale. I think they called the party the Democrat Labor Party, something like that. Well, let me tell you a little secret. Back in the day, as they call it, Walter Mondale supported, and Ralph Abernathy supported, securing the border. Securing the border. And they wanted to remove the illegal aliens. The Democrat Party today is nothing like this country's ever experienced before. I mean, in terms of its hatred toward minorities, this time Jews, last time blacks, that they still have. Their contempt for the Constitution and the old Confederacy, now we have the new Confederacy. They're called sanctuary cities and states. But the same logic. They don't care if they shut down the airports. They don't care if a plane is blown up in the middle of the air because they have defunded TSA. That's right, I'm telling you the truth. The Coast Guard's defunded. These people aren't getting paid 1 penny, and they're out there tonight trying to make sure that terrorists and drug dealers don't get into our country. Being paid nothing. Nothing. By these Democrat Party bastards. in defense of illegal aliens. That's what's going on. They put illegal aliens ahead of TSA agents, ahead of the Coast Guard, ahead of FEMA workers, ahead of the Secret Service. They put illegal aliens ahead of innocent young women going to college in Chicago. What's it going to take for the people to rise up? I mean, we did come together and elect Donald Trump president. Then they have their friggin' judges who are blocking us every step of the way. It's awful. Absolutely awful. Now listen to this dimwit. AOC's presidential material. Which country? Not ours. She's a dimwit, and she's a coward. We've invited her on this program I don't know how many times. Same with that jerk Raskin. Same with that jerk Bernie Sanders. One jerk after another. Now they run to CNN and MSNBC. Don't tell me they call it MS Now. How stupid is that name? MS Now. MS Now? What does that even mean? Listen to this. Cut 12, go.
We are not a nation ruled by a king.
We're not a nation ruled by a king. Oh, do tell us, Democratic Socialists of America. Do tell us, Mondami supporters. We are not a nation ruled by a king. I bet she practiced that in front of a mirror over and over and over again. Go ahead.
That holds the authority to declare war. And the moment
Only
that you
Congress has the power to declare war. She's such a Nimrod. I've explained this 1,000 times. But you know what? If you're a Democratic Socialist, a.k.a. a Marxist Islamist, you're never going to understand it. Why? Because it doesn't matter what the Constitution says. They wave it around. They don't even believe in it. They don't even... Neither does Trader Tucker. If he believes in Sharia law, that rejects the Constitution. So many jackasses out there all over the place. Go ahead.
that responsibility and you put that in President Trump, and if you send that signal that he can unilaterally control our nuclear arsenal,
what? Hold on. First of all, moron, unilaterally control our nuclear arsenal. There's a process that's been in place since we've had nuclear weapons to determine whether to use them. The same process that was in place when Biden was president. You know, the guy that didn't sign his own papers and so forth. Why are you trying to create this fear-mongering and hysteria? Because that's what you Marxist Islamists do. That's what you punks do. That's what you know-nothings do. We're the problem. The president's the problem. It's our nuclear arsenal. Now, ironically, Iran is trying to build a nuclear arsenal. You can't go to war unless we declare it. And let me ask you something. How would you vote? She'd vote against it. She's the enemy within, like Tlaib and Omar. And so many others. Like 50 or 60 of these Democrats who are the enemy within. They've been elected. And more illegal aliens we can bring in and more children they have and so forth, they figure they'll elect even more of them. What is it that jackass that runs CARE said? He says at some point we're going to have a Supreme Court justice. At some point we're going to have far more members of the House and the Senate. It's all plot. It's all plan. As mosques are popping up everywhere. Nobody knows who's funding that. In strategic locations. We're under attack. It's that simple. We're under attack by these neo-fascists and how they're getting paid directly and indirectly. We're under attack by these Marxist Islamists, all of whom have a nice, comfortable place within the Democrat Party. Now, so far, the neo-fascist rogue woke right, they don't have a place in the Republican Party. But I am troubled by the fact that only a handful of Republicans have the guts. It doesn't even take guts, really, but to speak out against them. People in high positions won't say anything. People in Congress, a handful of them will say something. There's nothing to be afraid of. In fact, more people will wind up supporting you. Plus, if you're running in a primary, you're running in a general election, and you embrace any of these people, I'm going to fight you. And the millions of people who listen to this program are too. We are red-blooded Americans, and we've had enough of this crap. We've had enough. We've had enough. Go ahead.
Swath of weaponry, of offensive
where is she, in a bar
capacity.
somewhere? What's going on there? Do we know where she is? Oh, she's on Capitol Hill. Is she in a bar on Capitol Hill? I mean, oh, the thoughts of AOC, like she's Socrates. Oh, please do tell. Well, the president's not a king, and we have the right to declare war, and he can't go off on his own with nuclear weapons. Oh, do tell. She's a clown. We like clowns. I don't even want to say she's a clown. She's a putz. May I say that in Yiddish? That'll really anger the anti. She's a putz. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Lee Smith, you've heard me cite him from time to time as really one of the great thinkers and writers in this country. And he has had this fantastic book that's been out, and it's got lost in a lot of the static, and I wanted to draw your attention to it. Lee Smith, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well, Mark. Thank you so much for your exceedingly kind words and for inviting me to come on tonight.
Well, it's my pleasure. Now, tell everybody a little bit about your background. Let's begin there.
Well, I was raised in New York City. I worked in journalism and publishing for, 40 years or something like that. My father was a journalist. My great-grandfather was the typesetter at the New York Daily News.
Wow.
So I've been in journalism for a while. And, it's a terrific profession. It's a great industry with great people. And of course, as we've seen over the last several years, especially, there's a lot of people who've done all they can to drive it into the ground. And unfortunately, that's people on the left. And it's also some people on the right as well. But, I think, Mark, that, you are out there waving the banner of journalism, and the American public, our friends, our neighbors, our communities, our country needs real information with which to make decisions on how to lead their lives, how to make decisions for their families and themselves. So yeah, it's been a real joy to be a writer for so many years.
And you write about deep things. You don't write little short things. Let's talk about this fantastic book you have, The China Matrix, the epic story of how Donald Trump shattered a deadly pact. I've gone through about two-thirds of this book. I learned a lot that I didn't know and thought about a lot that I hadn't thought about. So first things first, you decided to write this book. When did you decide to write it, and what really motivated you?
Yeah. Well, I toward the end of Donald Trump's first term, I really got interested in that. I've been writing about the Middle East for so long. I write for Tablet. My great colleagues at Tablet Magazine, and they were interested in doing some writing on China as well as the Middle East. And what really inspired me was the fact that Donald Trump, as I argue in the book, was the first American president who really underscored the problems that we have with China. And as Donald Trump put out, the main problem isn't China. The main problem is the China class in the United States, the people who have fundamentally betrayed our country and our interests to the Chinese Communist Party. So just listening to the president talk about that, I'm like, wow, he's absolutely right. And once I started to study this and research it more, I just realized, it's scandalous. It's a scandal that that dates back now over half a century.
Over half a century. You're not a big fan of Kissinger, I take it. You write about reversing Kissinger.
Yeah, there are problems. The problem, when I interviewed the president about this, and it was a really long interview about China. I was really honored he gave me so much time just to speak about China. And what he says is, a lot of people blame Nixon and Kissinger for Watergate, or they blame Nixon for Watergate. Said that's not the worst thing he did. Said the worst thing he did was open us up to China. And I started looking at this, and yeah, it's absolutely true. It's not something that evolved into a mistake. It's something that started as a terrible mistake. And really, I think that Donald Trump's role right now is to reverse the bad work that Henry Kissinger did, not just as an American diplomat, but also as a businessman, a consultant, pushed so many American corporations into China. I mean, of course, they wanted to go to make money. And then Kissinger continued to defend this very poisonous relationship for a very long time. And I think that Donald Trump has been respectful about Dr. Kissinger, especially since he's passed away. But I also think that the president is right to be critical of what happened at the very origins of this relationship.
And yet, Lee Smith, I hear people say the president has kind of gone soft on China. Which I don't believe, but they say this.
I don't think so either. I mean, the president has a lot on his plate, as we see right now with Iran. I mean, there's a lot going on, and China's really the major issue, and that's another very important part of the president's legacy. So no, I don't think he's pushing this aside at all. And I think a lot of what we've seen him do in terms of foreign policy and different aspects of the domestic policy is to gird us, is to prepare us, and is to get him more leverage with which to take on the Chinese Communist Party. So no, I don't think he's going easy on China at all. I mean, there are certain decisions, regarding TikTok, for instance, that we'll have to see how these things play out. But no, hearing the president speak about China and having a chance again to interview him about China, no, I think this is a major issue for him.
And I agree with you 100%. He's done more economically to try and challenge China. He's done more with rare earth minerals to try and get back some semblance of independence in that regard. He's obviously very mindful of where China's oil comes from. And he's opened our coal mines because they're opening coal mines at the blink of an eye over there. I think he realizes that they're the big challenge and big threat. And you explain this in the book. You explain that we have a lot of businesses who became friends with China. So there's a lot of resistance to this, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I one of the arguments I made, and I made this since the first term, writing about Russiagate. And, I always forget. I always forget, but you were really the first person. I mean, I wrote about this in one book, but you're really the first person to have identified what was going on, how they were spying on Trump, and what they were doing. So I just meant to say that to you because of all the times I've gotten to speak with you, I've been meaning to congratulate you. It's pretty great.
Do you remember the pushback when I brought it up? It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they were, they pushed back on you, and then when the president tweeted that before, was lying about Obama's sick guy or whatever it was. Oh yeah, they went crazy, and they went crazy on Devin Nunes. Sure. I mean, people were outraged that you called out the bad guys for the evil they were doing. But it occurred to me during Trump's first term that a lot of this pushback came from people who were concerned about him breaking their ties with Beijing. And I think that's a lot of the opposition that we've seen to this president during the first term and even now during the second term. I mean, I thought it was revelatory, Mark. You and I have spoken about Tucker Carlson and his faction. When he came out basically pro-China a few days ago, that was alarming.
Let's get into that and tie it into this great book of yours. Stick with me, don't hang up. The China Matrix, the epic story of how Donald Trump shattered a deadly pact. This is a great book. It's almost like a thriller, but it's a nonfiction. So grab this book, go to Amazon.com, More with Lee Smith.
Mark the pen. The thunder on the right. Call in now. 877-381-3811.
You want to learn about China? Really, the last more than half century. This book is so thorough. The China Matrix, the epic story of how Donald Trump shattered a deadly pact. Lee Smith, let's start it this way before we get to Tucker. I don't even want to waste time with Tucker. I want to promote your book here, and I want to encourage people to get it on Amazon.com. The way I read your book was he put his foot on the brakes, he tapped the brakes, then he hit the brakes, said we've got to reverse course on trade, on geopolitical issues, on military issues. So he slowed down this head rush into China, all these businesses going into China and so forth, and he used tariffs, and he used his weight of personality, he used diplomacy. Do I have that about right?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that people, if I could make one wish of the president, it's that I wish that he would explain to the American public why tariffs are so important right now, and it's about China, because his main point is that it's the trade deficit with China that's killing us. So a lot of people talk about Taiwan and the first island chain. They talk about Chinese tech, Chinese AI, all these different things. And the case that the president makes is it's our enormous trade deficit. They're doing all that stuff with American dollars. The weapons that they're pointing at our cities and towns are paid for by American money through that enormous trade deficit that we've been running with China for many decades now. It's also the fact that we let them list on our capital markets, and a lot of these are very, very bad companies. So I think what the president thinks is most important is we have to take responsibility for ourselves first and slow it down. The Taiwan issue is a function of the trade deficit. If they weren't making so much money off of us, they wouldn't have the military they have now. They wouldn't have the tech they have now, the AI they have now. So I think that's a really important thing for people to understand and to let people know, look, we're really at crunch time here. And if President Trump had not stepped up to do this with China, we'd be walking into a real catastrophe. And it's really important for him to get this done. And so, again, I try to explain that in the book, why tariffs are important, why the economic front is so important. But there's a lot of other stuff going on, too. And, yeah, I do believe that the president has a multi-pronged strategy to deal with this. And we're seeing a lot of it. We're seeing it in Iran right now. You mentioned before, Mark, talking about the rare earth stuff, and before Trump and Xi's meeting a few months ago, Xi pulled out this stunt saying, yeah, we're not going to give you rare earth materials. Well, when they next meet, and the president appears to have postponed this meeting that was supposed to happen at the end of this week in April, he's postponing it for some time. The next time that he meets with Xi Jinping, he's going to be speaking with a man, likely to be speaking with a man whose energy is now under the control of the United States. I mean, I think that's one of the points. That's one of the things we're going to be seeing. So, yeah, I think the president sees it in a very holistic manner.
When you see a Tucker Carlson really giving voice to a mouthpiece for the Communist Party in China, and putting down our country, and then also talking about how Sharia law is actually quite nice, and these communities are quite nice. What do you think China thinks when they hear somebody like that? Do they even give a damn what he has to say?
Oh, I think China is very grateful whenever people say that. You know, when people like this character Jeffrey Sachs, I mean, really one of the most pernicious influences in American mass media, a really destructive and nasty character. No, I think it advances them, because the striking thing about what Carlson said was it's the scale of China. Of course, we have to deal with them. And this has been part of China's messaging for decades now. Oh, yeah, we're too big. You have to deal with reality, America. We're coming to get you, and you have no choice. Our population is bigger. Our army will be bigger. Our Air Force, our Navy. So just deal with us now. Roll over and make it easy on yourselves. And those who join us now, will be rewarded greatly. Those, however, who hold out will be punished severely when China is on top of the world. So, I think the more people that can say that, and we see this kind of stuff in our mass media all the time, I think they're very grateful to have people who are putting out that, that insane messaging. I mean, it really is sort of Tokyo Rose stuff. Mm-hmm. Lie down, Americans, give up. You can't fight us. We're too much for you.
I've never heard of somebody. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, I think it's very helpful because people are wondering what foreign influences are playing a role in our mass media right now. And a lot of people are saying, well, Qatar is very bad. They have a lot of money. Qatar is bad, but Qatar is a minor actor compared to China. There is no power in the world that wants us pushed out of the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, and the Eastern Mediterranean more than China. So that's the major issue for us right now, China. All these other actors, of course, Iran, of course, Russia, Qatar, the Hamas, Hezbollah, all these are big concerns. But the biggest one on top of the pile is the People's Republic of China.
And China has quite a propaganda operation in America, doesn't it, including these podcasters?
Enormous. It's enormous. There's, I recommend to your great audience that they check out this YouTube show by these two guys. It's called The China Show. And these guys lived in China for many years, and they know it really well. And these guys are basically reporting every week on the different kinds of propaganda that are being pushed through Western media, especially American media, about China. It's really disgraceful. No, it's a very large operation. And again, it's not just that they're pushing stuff for China. If you look at the American companies that have stakes in the success of China, a lot of them are just pushing for these different American companies. A lot of the bad guys who are trying to influence the Trump administration. So again, it's not just China itself. It's people who are messaging on behalf of pro-China companies, pro-China industries. I mean, if you look at what's going on, I mean, how many industries depend on cash flow from China, whether, Hollywood is back at it again. Unfortunately, there's a lot of it going on Wall Street. So it's insanely destructive. And Donald Trump, again, is the first person who underscored the problems with this.
Mm-hmm. How do you see some of this playing out? We do need to significantly increase our defense spending also, don't we?
Yes, I absolutely agree. And that's definitely been at the top of the president's agenda. I mean, I think it's very impressive. It's very impressive, and that money is paid off already. The performance of United States Armed Forces in Venezuela and Iran in June with Operation Midnight Hammer. Now what we're seeing unfold alongside America's greatest wartime ally. The proof, people are watching it happen on the ground. People are watching what a powerful and confident America looks like. Again, partnered with, and this is one of the things I'm really grateful for. I think the schemers inside and outside of the Trump administration who have leached off of President Trump and who are now attacking him, that they've lost. They're losing, and they've lost because they're losing on the ground in Iran. They're losing on the ground here in the United States. So we have some hard things going on, but I'm very optimistic with the way things are going now.
I am as well. I mean, it's kind of frightening to think if Donald Trump hadn't won, if Kamala Harris and that whole foreign policy team had been back, I don't think we could recover very easily from 4 more years of that. Do you?
No, it would be very hard, and this is one of the things that I try to remind people of, and that's why it's so important that Donald Trump accomplishes his agenda and that he accomplishes as much of it as possible, whether we're talking about immigration policy, keeping the border shut, because, I mean, politically, there's no guarantee a Republican's going to win the White House again in 2028. And so we Americans, we have to prepare our communities, our countries, and ourselves. And that's why we really need to be standing behind the president and make sure he gets done what he promised to get done abroad and at home, because we have to shore ourselves up against the possibility that these lunatics will again be, hugely destructive lunatics will again be in power.
I just really worry about these midterms. I mean, if they take any part of Congress, just how backwards that'll be for the country in so many ways. This is such a great book, ladies and gentlemen, The China Matrix, the epic story of how Donald Trump shattered a deadly pact. You can get it on Amazon.com. I think you can get it in any major bookstore. But just get it and read it, and I think your eyes will pop wide open. And Lee Smith, we want to have you back. You're fantastic. Keep up the great work. You're a great patriot.
Thank you so much, Mark. Again, I really appreciate the kind words. I hope my wife is listening. and thanks for bringing me on tonight. I really appreciate it. God bless you, Mark.
God bless you, brother. You're going to love this book. I'm not kidding. Everything you want to know about China and everything you ought to know about what Donald Trump has been doing about it and is trying to do about it. Because once Iran, that situation is resolved, hopefully in a very strong way in our favor, we're going to have to refocus on China. The president knows that. He's just set up time with Xi, invited the president of the First Lady. I think it's in May, and there will be a reciprocal visit by them to the United States. But president's no fool. He understands exactly what's going on. Exactly what's going on. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Is this show over already? I guess pretty close. It's always an honor to have you folks here. It's always a pleasure. Radio is like what I was born to do. Radio, you say, well, Mark, you do TV, now podcasts, you write. Radio is what I was born to do. As a kid, that's what I loved, talk radio, and here I am. What a career, huh? It could end tomorrow, and still, what a career. Almost 25 years. I never would have dreamt it. Never. Don't forget, Lee Smith's great book. Really. It's a great price on Amazon right now. The China Matrix, the epic story of how Donald Trump shattered a deadly pact. You're going to learn a ton about our number one enemy and competitor. I want to give a shout out to Barnes & Noble. I've gone into a couple brand new Barnes & Noble. They're expanding. They're trying to expand in the book industry when the book industry is in trouble. And I think reading is so important. Reading is so important on so many levels. And it has a way of competing with, if not out-competing, the internet and other elements out there that are providing horrendous propaganda that undermine the individual and self-confidence and all the rest. So a shout out to Barnes & Noble. They're expanding the number of their stores. They're refurbishing their stores. And they put out, yes, all kinds of books, including conservative books. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, the men and women in Israel, the men and women in Persia, and you, the American citizen, red-blooded Yanks. Thank God for you. I'll see you tomorrow.